Mother Knows Death, starring Nicole and Jemmy and Maria QK.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mother Knows Death. On today's episode, of course, we're going to talk about the Charlie Kirk assassination and all the latest information on that. We're going to get into why some fans are worried about actress Lily Collins, a gruesome beheading caught on film in Dallas, why so many women in their 40s are getting pregnant by accident, a physician that was arrested for revealing the gender of a fetus, and a suicide note found at Goodwill. All that and more followed by your questions on today's episode. Let's get started with definitely the most talked about case of the week for sure, if not years.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're living under a rock, you've had to have seen this case. I don't know if everybody's seen the video per se, but definitely everybody should know about the assassination of political activist Charlie Kirk. So he was killed last Wednesday at a rally at Utah Valley University. In the middle of his talk, these gunshots rang out, and then blood started spraying from his neck, and everybody was screaming and ducking. All these crazy videos came out of the incident because people are, I guess, live streaming the talk and just happened to catch it on film. And it's just so scary to see these videos plastered all over the internet.
Yeah, it really is the most unusual death that we've talked about, especially with a celebrity, at least anyway. I would almost say since the JFK assassination that was also caught on film, but now it's even just in the digital age, right? It's just so much different because not only was it essentially live streamed, right? It was multiple people, like you said, from all different angles. And now we have the ability on each individual phone to go by the film step by step and try to figure out for ourselves what happened. Because we've obviously, with the JFK assassination, there was just so many conspiracy theories, which a lot of them ended up being true. So there's a lot of trust issues there. So now we're like, we don't necessarily trust what you're telling us. So we're going to try to figure it out ourselves, kind of thing. And I guess, the JFK incident was caught on the Zapruder film, which they went by frame and presented the story to us. But now we're able to do that ourselves in a way. And it's just such a different thing that we've never experienced before.
Yeah, and I've been seeing a lot of people compare this to the Luigi Mangione case, and that is just so different. I mean, that video ended up being released, but it wasn't being live streamed like in this case. This was probably uploaded seconds after it happened.
Yeah, and the Luigi Mangione case too was a smaller ammunition and didn't leave you horrified the way this one was in clear daylight with very high definition film, being able to really see a person dying like that in front of you. I do see the comparison though, for sure, because it's just, I think that we talked about this with Luigi Mangione. It's like when you start making a person really a hero for killing someone that you don't agree with, then there's going to be other situations that follow. And sure enough, that we're here. So
Yeah, I mean, it's just a weird thing to see. And even in the Luigi videos, like you see him approach Brian Thompson and go up to him and put the gun, and then you see Brian Thompson fall to the ground, right? Like you're not seeing the blood actively squirting out of his body. It's horrific.
yeah, it was, I mean, it's funny because I literally have a website called The Gross Room where all we do is look at pictures and videos that are gruesome. And Jen that works with us, she sends us videos and news stories all the time, and we have this ongoing joke because she always sends us like a cool news story, and I'll write her back and say we have that on the list already. So she's always just like, God, I never could give you one that you didn't hear of. And I was going to pick up my kids from school, and she texted me a video, and I just opened it. She texts me videos all the time that are just like funny stuff or whatever. And I opened it and I was like, oh my God, like it took my breath away. I was like, oh my God, is that real? And I couldn't really believe that was, that happened and that was just spreading around online like that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't often see videos of people just getting like executed like that in front of a giant crowd of people. It was insane to watch.
One thing that was really interesting to me too, because obviously, like, I do this for a living. So anytime someone sends me a video like that, I'm always like, I'm going to screen record it really fast because that's going to get off the internet in 2 seconds. Just because those videos typically do. And in this case, it's like regular everyday people were sitting there saying that it was coming across their feed like they were looking at flowers and puppies and things like that. And then this just came into their feed. Oftentimes, people didn't even know who the guy was. It just was like everybody saw it, even if they never looked at any kind of gory things like that before.
Well, I never heard of him before this happened, and then I got a text message about the event from one of my friends, and then I looked it up, and then the videos started pouring in, right? They were everywhere. I also, like you, thought they were going to be taken down. I've only seen them taken down on Instagram, really. They're all over X, which I find ironic because only a couple weeks ago, when we had talked about that guy that preserved tattooed skin, we made a social clip of that little part of that episode, and that got taken down for violence, right? And I'm like,
I stumbled across like anal sex videos on, I didn't even realize on X that you were allowed to post things like that until Kanye West. Remember Kanye West posted all that porn stuff?
yeah,
And I was shocked, honestly. And I said to you, "Oh, you're allowed to, like, this guy is posting penetration on here," and you were like, "Yeah, you're allowed to do porn on there." I didn't even realize that, but I've stumbled across it just because of the certain things that we look for on this show.
well, the rules got adjusted a lot when Elon took over, and then like there's the porn element. That's why I was really shocked on X that our video got taken down, because I'm like, we're not even talking about anything bad. We're talking about a doctor and like historical science. But I appealed it and it got restored. But at the same time, like, you have videos of really graphic porn, and then you have videos of people getting murdered all the time on here.
God, there's so many of them. There was a part of the first 2 days of this happening that every single picture that I saw was different angles of the assassination. It was really nothing like I've ever seen before.
Well, especially if you're engaging with the content, they're just going to keep feeding it to you.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It just was a really nuts situation. So as of today, right now at noon on Tuesday, the 16th, we don't have an autopsy report yet that at least has been released to the public. So anyone at this point that's talking about what exactly happened to him is just speculation, because no one has gotten to examine their body except the people that were directly involved with the investigation. So all this is what I've been saying, because a lot of people obviously have been asking me what I think, and all I could really say for right now for sure is that the same exact thing that all of you guys have seen, which is he has a gaping wound in his neck. We don't know if it's an entrance wound, and we don't know if it's an exit wound at this point. All we know is that there is blood pouring out of this gaping wound in his neck, which is indicative of a serious vascular injury. Right there would be the left common carotid artery coming right off of the aorta. And if that thing was severed, this would explain why the blood was just gushing out. It is one of the closest arteries to the heart, and every single time the heart beats, it's just squirting out and squirting out and squirting out. So we could say that his body and his heart were pumping and he was physically alive when he got shot, but we don't know exactly what happened. I didn't see an exit wound. It doesn't mean there was an exit wound or there wasn't. We just don't know. I mean, we didn't even really see the entire back of his body. We don't know if he was wearing any kind of armor. We don't know anything right now. So all of it is just speculation, and there's a lot of different scenarios that could happen. And we just kind of have to wait for it to come out to really be certain of his injuries. But we know that he was bleeding profusely out of this wound and he was exsanguinating. If you look at the amount of blood, so a human has about 5 liters of blood in their body, right? And you could live if you lose two, if you have life saving intervention right away, and even then, it's like you could possibly. If you think about losing 2 liters of blood, that's like a 2 liter bottle of soda or like a half of a gallon of milk. It's really not that much fluid. And when you look at the video and you see all that blood pouring out of his neck, there's absolutely no way that anybody is surviving that injury. It's just not happening. If it was, let's say, for example, he got shot in a major artery of the arm and you were able to tourniquet it off, there would be a possibility of surviving something like that. But in your neck, that can't be tourniquet. We also discussed this in the gross room this week that, like, why was there not an ambulance on site right there at an event with 3,000 students at a university?
Yeah, that seemed weird.
It's weird. We saw his security guards carrying him to the van. There's no blood dripping. That they're walking on a tan sidewalk. There's absolutely no blood on the ground, which means to me that his heart was not beating because the blood wasn't coming out anymore, unless they were able to plug it up. That's a possibility too. They did say that he was alive at the hospital for some time afterwards. I personally think that was just, like, think about this from his friends and family perspective, like, which many of them had said that the way that they found out that their friend was shot or dead is because they saw the video online, because everybody's always on their phone and always on social media. It's possible that they just put that out there to, like, kind of try to break the news to the family and friends a little bit better.
Yeah, I was surprised because reports were coming out that he was stabilized at the hospital.
There's no way he was stabilized.
As a layperson, I saw the video. It was like, if he survived that, that's an absolute miracle. I mean, there is just no way. There was
Exactly.
I know you're saying it's like not that much fluid, but like to me that looks like a lot of blood to be losing.
No, it is. It's not, when you think about it, like a half a gallon of milk, if you just look at it, it's just kind of, if you poured it on the floor, for example, it's not that much really, right? In comparison to what you would think is inside of your body. But I mean, listen, like, he was unconscious within seconds.
Yeah.
He likely stroked out because of that. And that's why he had that decorticate position, which, if you notice in the video, shortly after he got shot, within seconds, both of his arms went up to his chest in a tight position. And that's indicative of a serious brain injury. And we don't know what that was caused by. Was it caused by just the disruption of oxygen getting to his brain because his carotid artery was obliterated? Or was it because of ammunition hitting his brain, or shrapnel, like a bone breaking off and hitting his brain, or something like that? So whatever it was, that was what caused him to have that position, but that's also consistent with a person being unconscious. So it was very, I guess, to the relief of his family and friends watching that video, which I just can't even imagine seeing someone I mean, it's disturbing to watch a stranger get shot like that, let alone like somebody that you know and love. And it just was the white shirt, and it just was the white background. It just was so graphic. And
Didn't we see something similar with that quarterback on the Miami Dolphins when he got tackled and it was a repetitive concussion where his fingers kind of curled up like that?
Yeah. Well, and that one could be a different kind of head injury as well. But yes, like, it's a certain kind of postulation that happens if you get a brain injury like that. So yeah, I mean, it's just really just, it was disturbing. And
it's disturbing. And then as far as the investigation goes, they have somebody in custody right now. He's 22 years old, Utah resident. His name is Tyler Robinson. Police had released footage of the suspect, and this guy's dad actually recognized him as his son, confronted him about it, said he confessed, and eventually urged him to turn himself in. So, of course, there's a million conspiracies as far as that goes, too. But that's what's reported in the news right now, and that's what we're going to report on, too. So Charlie Kirk's funeral is set to take place this Sunday at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. There's been a lot of video released about the transport of his casket on Air Force Two by his wife. She's also released some videos of her, like whispering to his dead body. It's really sad to see.
Well, a lot of people are also think that the video's fake. There's like, to let you guys know that aren't all up in this, like there's people that think the whole entire thing was staged. I personally don't think that. I don't think that his hands look fake in the video because I've seen so many dead people, and you just have to understand that when your heart isn't beating anymore, you don't look the same. And the only thing to compare in that video is his wife, who's alive, that has a live hand next to his embalmed hand at a viewing that has makeup on it as well. And when a person gets shot like that or has any kind of injury where they bleed out, their their skin and their organs, everything is very pale in color as it is. And when they embalm a person, sometimes they mix different colored dyes in order to give the skin a more lifelike color because the person would be very pale and gray. And on top of that, he also has a certain kind of makeup or foundation on his hands to just give it a more lifelike color. And he's embalmed, which makes the tissue kind of shrink up and have that waxy appearance too. So anyone that really is familiar with what a person looks like at a funeral viewing wouldn't think that that looks abnormal. I mean, I personally think it's just weird. I mean, I grew up Catholic. This is what we do in our family.
I don't like open
And I just
casket funerals.
I don't like it. I've never looked at anybody and thought like, okay, they look anywhere like that, they look like they're just alive but sleeping. And maybe that's because I'm overly critical because I know what dead people look like. I don't know. I just think I just am not a fan of it. It's just I don't know. Just for me personally. I mean, if you want to do it, go ahead. I've been to plenty of them with our family. It's just weird. I don't know.
I don't like it at all. We're actually going to have Dr. Paul Kudanaris on the show very soon, and his book, Memento Mori, actually goes into the history of funerals and how we kind of transitioned into this like very sterile environment where we do things like this. And I thought it was really cool to see, and how he highlights how other cultures celebrate death too, because
Guys,
it's
yeah,
interesting.
like you're going to, if we can figure this out and have the visuals along with him, because he's just such an interesting person to talk to, and like he's one of my great friends. We talk all the time. When you hear some of these stories about this recent trip that he went on and see the pictures and the videos that go with it, it's just like it's another world of outrageousness, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it.
All right, so we have kind of like sub stories to this overall one as well. So I guess since we were talking so much about the video, let's talk about this. That this public school teacher has been suspended after allegedly showing 10 and 11-year-olds videos of the assassination and saying Charlie Kirk deserved to die and all this other stuff.
You know, at my kids' school, they talked about it. And and especially my middle one is in 7th grade, and I think at this point it's like, she tells me all the time she's the only kid that doesn't have social media in her grade. So kids, like, not just adults were stumbling across it, kids were stumbling across it, which is terribly disturbing. But they went into school and they had questions and they talked about it in the class, and I asked her exactly what was said, and it seems like everything was done in a very just educational, respectful way without showing the video to the ones that hadn't seen it, because Lillian didn't see it, right? And I like that. I don't really want her to see that. I don't think she needs to see it, and I don't understand why some teacher would think that that was appropriate. It's almost just like people are losing their freaking minds in a certain way, you know what I mean? Like, you're not thinking straight because of this.
Well, it kind of reminds me of these stories I've heard. I don't know if this is Ricky's story or somebody else, but because I was really young when like 9/11 happened, right? But there's stories out there where, the Twin Towers get hit and then teachers roll the TV into the classroom and are showing kids the news live, And you're like, do you realize thousands of people are getting killed right now and you're showing this to elementary school kids? And they're not that dumb. Like, they know what's
I'm
going
not
on.
sure that's I mean, it's possible, but I don't really think that that's an accurate story because I was 21 years old when that happened and every place was like closing the schools, sending the kids home. There was really not a lot of that. I mean, I'm sure there were schools maybe in the country that remained open, but I think everybody was just very scared, wanted to get their kids from school. Schools closed early. My college closed. Like,
My point in this is that, like, for me as a child, that event was 9/11. Seeing these videos as a child, right? I don't think adults sometimes are thinking clearly about how much this can affect a young child's mind. They know what's happening. Like, a 10-year-old is very aware they're seeing a real person get murdered on video. They don't they don't
well,
always dissociate it with
another
being like a horror movie or something.
another thing is though too is that children are naturally curious. Some adults are naturally curious too, and when you hear that, oh, there's a video of this, the first thing you want to do is say, oh, okay, like, I want to see it. What's all the hype about? And I think that affects some people more than others. There's a big difference between reading about something and seeing what that actually looks like.
Well,
And
exactly.
and then on top of that, you have at least 3,000 people that experienced it in real life. And not to mention, okay, they saw him get murdered right in front of their face, but we also forget to mention that there was an active gunshot that went off and nobody knew what was going on at the time, and that is just scary to live through an active shooter event in general.
No, totally. And I agree with you. Like, I think that I think the schools should tell children about what happened. Like, I remember again with 9/11, it was kind of like, I went home from school and then my school just kind of acted like it never happened. And you're like, okay, you can't just not talk about this major thing that happened, right? Because it's also scary not knowing what's
They
going
still
on.
don't talk about it at school.
No, well, when I got to like high
My
school and
kids,
stuff, they
you know
did.
what's funny? My kids came home from school on 9/11 and said they spent a period talking about Charlie Kirk. And I said, did you talk about 9/11 at all? No, never, didn't hear a drop of it all day.
Well, I don't think you need to be like suicide bombers got on a plane and murdered a bunch of people. Like, there's a way to phrase it to children where you could be like, this really bad thing happened. And you know what I'm trying to say? There's a way to tell children about what happened
But
without
they
going
don't
into
tell
gory
children,
graphic detail.
they don't tell children anything.
Well, I find
And
it
they're
weird.
talking about murder. So, like, I guess, like,
Well,
I
I
don't know.
find it weird that they choose to talk about this assassination with a political figure that's like, it. I'm not trying to diminish it at all, but it's not like the president got shot, for example, right? Like, so
No,
I'm surprised.
it's a big deal.
No, it's totally a big deal, but I'm saying
It's
like,
actually a bigger deal because it's not the president, because obviously, like, people have something against the president, but this is the first time that this has ever been done in a way. Not, I wouldn't say the first time, but like, think about what a big deal it was when Martin Luther King got shot. Like, he wasn't the president, and like, we have a day dedicated to celebrating
no, like,
what he was.
you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm saying I just think when it's like this versus 9/11, I find it odd they refuse to talk about 9/11, but they will talk about something like this.
Well, I was thinking that too, but then I sat back and I was like, this, to the children growing up right now, this is more relevant than 9/11. You know what I mean? It's like, if we're talking about one day at school talking about 9/11 versus Pearl Harbor Day, for example, like, obviously 9/11 affected us more than Pearl Harbor Day did because we weren't even alive when it happened. Kind of like that thing. I don't think it really has to be a choose one over the other, but if they only had so much time to talk about like a current event, I feel like, I mean, there's still victims of 9/11 who are still alive and dying of cancer.
Well,
You know
yeah,
what I
like
mean?
it's
Like,
still
it's
actively
still
going on
it's
in our
still
life.
relevant to everyone that lived through it, and definitely a part of history that we should know about and question and whatever. So, um
But the last part of this story, so somebody went on Amazon and thought it was a good idea to upload a sweatshirt that mimicked the t-shirt he was wearing with blood spatter on it, and obviously Amazon took it down right away.
Yeah, I mean, you're just going to have, you know, this is kind of the same thing in a way with JFK getting assassinated, for example, like such a public execution. You think like how did all of the people in his family go on to see all, just think about the intense interest in JFK's assassination, all the documentaries made, all the movies made, the all of the trials, the frame by frame of him getting his head blown off and showing Jackie going on the back of the car and getting pieces of his brain up, and like just that repeating all over and over again. How did she avoid that?
Like, you can't unless, you know, unless you have somebody, unless you don't go on your phone all day.
But I'm
And
saying, but like, let's say Jackie O, for example, before there were phones like that. Like, how did she just avoid turning on the TV? Just say you just want to turn on the TV and watch a movie, and you see this all the time. It's on the news. It's here. Like, for her to avoid that, did she just not look at TV for years? Did you like? You think about that with her, and now you think about the digital age and how are his friends and family supposed to ever go on social media again, and like the children growing up that will eventually be able to see this, like they're going to see it whether they want to or not. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, how do you avoid it unless you just make it a vow that you're never going on social media again?
I'm not saying this is like the correct way, but it's just like part of being a public figure. Everything about your life and your death are highly publicized. So I think it was a little easier for Jackie Kennedy because it was just in the day and age of television and radio. So while her life probably sucked in some capacity, she was probably able to avoid it. Also, let's not forget, allegedly the Kennedys treated her really poorly after his death and kind of just were like, you're on your own now. So I'm sure it was like a little easier to just kind of go away from everything and not be fully immersed in it. I think as in today's, world of technology, it's just something you can't avoid. His wife might need to live the next couple years and just truly not have access to a cell phone and have some like an assistant be like, this is detection. And I'm saying that's ridiculous and impractical, but like if you want to avoid it, that's really probably the only way. Unless you only go on your phone to get text and calls, like a flip phone. You only get calls and texts. You can't go on the internet or anything.
Yeah.
And how do you do that?
It's just something that I think of as a crazy thought to navigate through life in that kind of a way, the way that things are right now. But I imagine that would just be like extremely triggering all the time for, I mean, not just her, obviously the most, but what about, I mean, the guy's your age, like he has to have parents, right? And like I don't know anything about that, but it's just like there's a lot of other people involved in it, and it's just I guess you're right though, when you're a public figure, it's like there's more interest in your life and there's interest in your death.
I also think when you're a public figure, the people closest to you, meaning like his wife, might have, I hate this phrase, media trained, but they might have some form of training where they can like dissociate from negative press. I mean, he was very controversial. It's not like everybody loved him. So I'm sure they're used to really negative press. And I'm sure with that, you have some type of training to dissociate from seeing things like that and live your normal life. So maybe you can channel into that part of your brain, but it's going to be impossible for her to avoid it.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the stuff that's just coming out is whatever. We just like, we're not going to talk about that here, but yeah, so let's talk about another horrible murder.
Hold on.
Horrible, gruesome murder on film.
Hold on. I just also wanted to say, though, that sweatshirt reminded me about 10 years ago, Urban Outfitters released a vintage Kent State University sweatshirt on their website that they said was vintage aged, right? It was a red sweatshirt that just was aged. It looked like it had blood spatter all over it. Does nobody remember the tragedy that happened there in 1970? It was so insensitive.
Oh, I remember about that shirt.
And they just try to be like, oh, it was like aged in the sun and that's just the way it looked. I'm sorry, but if any, I have to put a link to this picture or put it up somewhere because it's unbelievable. It is not sun faded. It directly looks like blood spatter.
Yeah. It's, you know what it just reminded me of too, which is this is kind of similar, but do you remember after the Boston Marathon bombing that they did this like really sexy photo shoot of one of the bombers on the cover of the magazine and everybody was like, what's happening right now?
Yeah, so weird.
It's really weird when people are like trying to push a certain edge, you're just kind of like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's get into this other group. Dude, this week, really, in one calendar week, you had the girl we talked about last week that what was her name?
Snelling.
No, oh, that's a whole different one. I wasn't even talking about her. I was talking about the video on the train. Irina, I think her name was. Yeah, she was stabbed in the neck, like a video that went viral. And then it's like Charlie Kirk video gone viral. This other one that we're going to talk about now was on the internet at some point because someone grabbed it for me. And it's in thegrossroom.com if you want to see it. But like it's really, really disturbing. And you're just like, social media can't keep up with this.
No, they can't. So in this case, at a motel in Dallas, this guy and his coworker were cleaning a room. The manager comes by and tells them not to use a broken washing machine. So according to the coworker, the man got angry because the manager was talking to her to translate the conversation to the man instead of talking to him directly. So he proceeds to leave the room, produce a machete, and starts stabbing the manager repeatedly before eventually cutting his head off. Over communication over a broken washing machine.
Wait, the worst part of this story is that, I mean, I guess that's bad, but while he was getting stabbed, he ran across the parking lot to the office and was screaming for his wife and his son who were in the office, who came out and tried to intervene and get in between them. And they weren't able to get the guy to stop stabbing her husband and his father. And he cut off the guy's head in front of his wife and his son.
And then proceeded to kick it in the parking lot and then picked it up and threw it in a dumpster. So police get there. This guy is still holding the machete. Blood's all over his shirt and his body. Can you imagine rolling up on this scene as law enforcement?
So that's... Did you see the video in the gross room, Maria?
Listen.
Let me tell... I know that it's not your thing, but listen... The way that they write these stories is just not, it's just not accurate. Like, we have it on film. So this is something that I actually wanted to bring up. This is all caught on film. The guy cuts his head off and he puts it and he kicks it like a literal soccer ball across the parking lot. It's so disturbing. He picks the head up and it's bloody and dripping and then brings it to this dumpster. As he's coming back from the dumpster, still knife in hand, the ambulance shows up, not the police. There's just ambulance, right? And the ambulance workers get out of the car, out of the bus, and they, you know, they're like, obviously there's nothing they could do at this point, right? I specifically asked this to Gabe because I said, what is the protocol? Because this happened in Dallas. This could have happened where Gabe works too, right? What's the protocol if you show up in an ambulance or a fire truck and there's no cops on the scene with a gun and you come out to report to a call and there's a man that has just carried a head into a dumpster and has a knife in his hand? And Gabe was just like, I would stay in the fire truck. That's what he said to me. In this video, you see them get out of the ambulance. Now, I'm sure the cops are right behind them, whatever. Listen, if I just witnessed a guy cut off someone's head with a machete, I sure as hell am not going out of the ambulance to see what's going on.
No, especially like a police officer. I understand because you have a gun or like a stun gun or something or a baton, right? Like
I wouldn't do it with a baton.
Well, just saying
that's a gun situation only exclusively.
You have something to protect you, but the ambulance, what do they have? Seriously, nothing.
And like that, I was shocked that they got out.
They have the ambulance as their only weapon. If you want to like plow into the guy,
yeah, like I just would have been like, oh hell no, I am not going out there and seeing what's going on here. I mean, listen, like I understand that they likely were not, because when they got the call, it was like somebody's getting attacked and there might have even been possibly with a knife. The head getting cut off happened seconds before they actually pulled into the parking lot. And I'm sure they sure as hell were not expecting that. And you see that and you're like, okay, I just witnessed this thing I mean, would you even think that it was a human head if you arrived at that scene and saw that? And
No,
saw
it's
somebody
like,
kick something? Your mind would not allow that to happen.
well, it's like in all the true crime documentaries when people are like, I thought this dead person was a mannequin in the woods, right? Like your brain just cannot go there.
Yeah. So like they pull up and see they walk to a guy with a bloody dripping knife kicking a head like a soccer ball and putting it in the trash, like they, they just weren't like thinking, right? Like, cuz when you're an EMS person, your first thing is like, I got to get to the emergency and save a person's life. But like clearly that guy is a torso now and like there's no saving that person's life. But at the same time they didn't know if there was other victims and things like that. Like I understand that, but like they got to protect themselves. And like, when you're like in a bad situation and you're just driving and you're like, let me just lock my door. Not draw
Yeah.
attention to it, but like I don't want this crazy person coming in my car. It's the same kind of a thing.
Are you ever like in a parking lot and there's a crazy person walking around and you make eye contact and then you lock the door but it makes the loudest noise ever?
Yeah,
You're
that's
like,
why I'm
oh my
saying
God,
you
I
just,
gotta
like,
drive
gently,
away.
like,
Yeah,
you
but
gotta get. This is why you gotta get tinted windows, Maria. Nobody will see you do it.
oh my God. This episode is brought to you by The Gross Room.
Guys, the Gross Room is on sale and it ends this Friday. It is only $20 for a whole year of gross. So that's 365 days of videos, photos, videos, dating back all the way to 2019 and daily posts as well. This week we did our high profile death dissection or celebrity death dissection was on Charlie Kirk. So we really go through everything with the ammunition and the weapon and what kind of injuries we should expect to see on the autopsy report. And of course, we have videos like the one that we were just talking about too. Try to keep up on the most local news stories. And we always have people sending us stuff. So check that out.
Head over to thegrossroom.com now before the sale ends on September 19th.
Okay, so we got a lot to talk about this week, guys, and we have a lot of good stories for the rest of the episodes too. And
Yeah.
the interview with Paul. It's going to be very lively on Mother Knows Death this week. So this is one that's been circulating the internet too, which is a nice distraction from all of the death and dismemberment we've been seeing.
So Lily Collins, who is the daughter of Phil Collins, star of Emily in Paris, she's been out and about in New York City over the weekend because it's Fashion Week. So the paparazzi took pictures of her going to the Calvin Klein show over the weekend, and the photos have just absolutely gone viral because of how thin her waist is. I mean, again, this is going to come across as body shaming to some people. When I first saw these pictures, they look so bizarre. I thought they were AI.
All right, so this is my question because and this is probably where they're going with this because I didn't ever hear of this girl, this show.
It's
Phil-
a pretty,
I
it's
know
a pretty
Phil-
popular show. You don't watch television.
I know I don't. But Phil Collins, I know Phil Collins. And I didn't know that this was his daughter. But anyway, I digress. Like, now everybody's talking about it. So now everybody knows for sure that she's working on this new project and this and that. And I guess part of the thing is that this thing that she's working on or did work on was a story about a person that was battling with anorexia, correct?
Well, that was like 10 years ago. This story is season 5. She's been in the press enough. I don't think this was a planted story, if that's what you're getting at.
All right. I'm just curious because, like, there was all these interviews done with her that basically she felt she was doing this role covering a person that had anorexia when she was dealing with an eating disorder herself, right? So, like, is that a good idea? Let's talk about that first. A person that has had a history of an eating disorder since they were a teenager, is it good for them to play a role of a person that has an eating disorder? I personally would say no. What do you think?
I don't think so if you're not fully recovered and it's going to set you off. If you have, worked really hard to be in recovery and you think you can approach it from a personal perspective and show the best light, yes. But I think if you're still teetering on the edge of being set off and going back to your old ways, then no, I don't think it's a good idea.
Well, specifically, I'm against her playing the role per se, but one thing that really bothered me about it was that she said that she had to lose a significant amount of weight in order to play this
Well,
character.
that's problematic. So if you
It's
have to
really
do that, that's a
problematic.
problem.
And like they shouldn't even have approached her or asked her and even put her in that position, which clearly, like, listen, I'm not doing a physical exam on her, but at this point, I don't think I have to. She's still battling with it, right? I don't know if you guys have seen this photo, but she's wearing what do you
It's a
call that? A
two-piece.
bare midriff?
It's a
Is
two-piece
that like an
outfit.
old lady term to say
Yeah,
that?
it's a real old lady term. She's wearing like a crop top and a skirt, and her whole entire torso is
Okay.
exposed, basically.
Okay. And she looks skeletal to the point where every single person that is just even her posture is very bizarre. And so this is why I was questioning if this was a publicity stunt, because we know that people with anorexia, when they look in the mirror, they're not seeing what everybody else is seeing. It's a dysmorphia. They're not seeing that they look thin enough, right? Everybody else on her team is, though. Her stylist, the person that made the dress, anybody that works near her, the girl doing her makeup, the girl doing her hair, the guy, whatever.
Yeah, but
right?
everybody that worked for Matthew Perry knew he was an addict and kept giving him the tools to fuel
Well,
his addiction.
I'm saying though, like someone, like I would think that someone on her team would be like, this is not a good look, but the only reason that it would be pushed out there is because they want people to be talking about it.
I don't think that's true necessarily. Like you're saying, if she doesn't see the dysmorphia, nobody in her camp is going to call it out because they don't want to lose their job or lose their friendship with her. And if this is truly a paparazzi picture on the street that got released, I mean, it's not the picture she posted on her Instagram. I would say that was more planted. She posted other pictures of this look on her Instagram, but not these ones in particular
Does she
that are
look
going
like
viral.
emaciated like that?
She does, which is, I at first thought these pictures were photoshopped or AI to some capability. And
Because you're like, there's no way that a human has organs in their body that are that thin. It's actually really, it's really terrible. And like I'm not saying like it looks on a chart. I don't care about that. I'm just saying that for people that are also dealing with anorexia, that could be set people off as well. It's not really, it's just a very unusual mental illness like that it has an effect on other people as well, not just yourself. And
well, I think it's like
sad to see.
I think it's a lot what you say with obesity too. It's not about the way it looks per se. It's about worrying about the person's state of their health.
So what's been the general, I mean, I just read this one article that had a couple comments, but what's the general comments about her appearance? I'm just curious.
I mean, on that Instagram post when I looked this morning, it was a mixture of wow, you look amazing mixed with I hope you get the help you need. And I don't know if her team had gone through, I mean, the pictures have been up a couple days. I don't know if her team had gone through and wiped a bunch of them out, but there were comments on there addressing it.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me because, like, obviously the most famous actress or singer and actress, I guess you would say, Karen Carpenter, right? Who was, like, severely anorexic, going down to 79 pounds at some point in her life. And visibly on TV, that she would get on TV and people would be like disturbed by her appearance. You know what I mean? But like back then it was like nobody was talking about it like that. And now it's like we're pretty open and talking about it. And I feel like we should, because there's lots of people that are suffering with it, and maybe she's trying to bring awareness to it. I don't know. Like
I think it's shocking to see a person that thin in general, but also because she's been open about having an eating disorder in the past, that's why it's more front and center.
Yeah, and I guess like if she's not doing well right now and she had a premiere to go to and stuff, that's one thing, but I'm almost like you're accentuating it. It's
Yeah, but
accentuate.
think about this. If Calvin Klein was like, I'm gonna dress you to come to my runway show, are you gonna tell him no, I'm not wearing that piece? You're gonna take whatever the fuck he gives you. Like, he doesn't know what your whole body looks like underneath. So like, think about that.
But uh, like she's a somebody, right? She can just get whatever she wants.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though, because you still like you get these special opportunities. You might not want to be rude. You don't know what happened that landed her in that outfit. Also, like you said, she might look at herself and not think anything looks amiss.
Yeah, I mean, I just think there should be someone on your team that's like, you know how like
Yeah, and then
if
guess
you're
what?
wearing something, I'll
and then you're fired, and then
I
I'm
guess.
replacing another person that's like, "Wow, you look amazing."
Okay.
Have you ever dealt with celebrities? Like, this is how they operate.
Phil Collins would never raise a child that was that bratty. It just wouldn't happen.
Well, okay. Have you also ever met the child of a celebrity? Because I've worked for a couple, and they're pretty terrible people. So, okay. All right. Let's talk about why so many accidental pregnancies happen in women's 40s.
Listen, when I was reading this is like this is like a real problem. I'll tell you why. Like I feel like all right, let me tell you about my appointment that I went to really quick today. So I went to a special doctor that specializes in hormones for women that are my age that are like perimenopausal and stuff. And for the past couple of years, like shit's been changing for me, right? And I'm like, oh, I've like barely bled and this and that. And like I just could tell like I'm having all the symptoms of going through menopause and all this stuff. So I'm thinking like I'm kind of out of the woods at that part of my life at this point. Well, I just go and had all the hormone tested and stuff, and she's just like, yeah, like we're gonna put you on these hormones, but like they can have side effects of the fetus, and your hormones are showing that like you very well could still get pregnant. And I'm 46, and I'm like, what? Like, no, God, that would be awful. It would be my worst nightmare come true. But like, it happens, right? Like people have babies at this age all the time, and but that's what happens because like in my mind for the past couple years I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm done with that. But blood work today confirmed I'm not done with that.
All right. Well, so are you shutting that part of your body off?
No, I'm just going to do what they say and not I don't want this to happen. But I could see how lots of different women that are my age, and I know lots of you are listening that are my age, that you're kind of like, all right, I'm starting to get into like my kids are getting older, and in my weird life case, I'm going to be a grandmom at some point. Like I'm moving into the next phase of my life, talking about like retirement accounts and things like that.
You don't want to try to have babies at the
No,
same time like
no.
other people?
Although that would definitely ensure that we would get a TV show. Like 100%.
Absolutely.
Which, no thanks. Maybe if I just give you the kid after I have it, then that would be a consideration.
You could be like one of those grandmas that carries the baby. You know, do you ever see those stories? It'd be like 55-year-old grandmother carried twins.
And I would do that for you, except my near death experiences with childbirth. It's just like I can't do that to my kids right now. But my little kids anyway. Well, if I was like, you know how mom was like, I could be pregnant all the time and whip out babies and like squat next to a tree and give birth. Like if I was that kind of woman, I'd be like, yeah, I'll do it. Why not? But you know, it's not in the cards for me. But anyway, we're not going to be pregnant at the same time. Like, no, that's weird. So wait, then my little baby would be like your baby's aunt. It's too weird.
I think I just saw a story that a mother and her daughter are impregnated by the same man, and they're like cool
Why
with
is that a mother's knows death?
No, I think it's old, but I feel like I just saw like an update. Did we not cover it?
We might have. I don't know.
It was an older story. Maybe I just saw it on TikTok. I need to confirm this.
All right.
This might be a story next week, guys. You just wait.
Like I think this is reportable news.
No, I feel like I saw it on social media or something. We like to wait till there's news stories because people make shit up. So like, I don't know. Stay tuned. We're gonna look into this. But remember there was like an episode of Golden Girls where Blanche thought she was pregnant but she was just going through menopause.
Yeah, it's a thing. And it's scary actually cuz some of the symptoms that you can get, I sat down with this nurse practitioner today for a while, like a solid hour, and she told me about this level's going to make your boobs tender and this and that. She went back and forth and I was like, "Oh shit." Like I kind of like don't have much of an interest in all the hormone stuff, so I learned a lot today.
What about
And
your
yeah,
mental state? How is that going to be affected?
I'm going to be more awesome. Actually, I just got some pellets inserted in my butt cheek, so whatever personality comes out, you're going to be stuck with for a while until it fades away.
Wait, I still don't understand. So, like, what did they do? They made an incision. What are the pellets?
It's I guess it's a continuous release of medication that's subcutaneous that is absorbing in your skin rather than having to do the gel every day.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean, like I made this appointment seriously in May or June.
Wow.
I was so hyped to go because like I really just don't feel good, and I was also telling the that whole place is so awesome. I was telling the receptionist, like, I've been feeling not good for almost 2.5 or 3 years now, and I was trying to do it old school, like. My mom never took hormones. My grandmom never took hormones. Everybody, like, since the beginning of time never did and all this stuff. And then I was like, you know what? Like, why? Like, finally, I was like, why am I making myself suffer? Like,
Science
why?
is here. Use it.
It's here, and I am using it. So I don't know because, like, obviously it's going to take some while for it to kick in. But I'll keep you guys updated. But some of our friends, I won't name any names because I don't want to have a HIPAA violation with some of our friends at CrimeCon, but if you're listening, you know who you are doing the pellets and said it's life-changing. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to it for you too. Everybody in the
Gabe's
house
like, I told Gabe and he's like, what's it do? And I was like, it's going to solve all of my life problems.
Maybe then Gabe will stop being like, she's yelled at me 4 times this morning already.
Well, he deserves it sometimes.
Okay, a doctor working at a hospital in India has been arrested after it was discovered he was telling women the sex of their babies.
I couldn't figure out what this story was like. Like, he's getting arrested from the hospital because is that something that they're not supposed to do in that culture or
no? So in India and China, it's banned. It's illegal to do that because they were having
because
issues.
people like get abortions and stuff if they're not having the sex that they want.
So
is it because of that?
Yes. So I found an article from NBC from 2006 talking about the first physician that had been jailed due to this. It was put in place in 1994. This law. So they said it was due to a, quote, epidemic of parents aborting female fetuses.
Yeah. My friend Yi is from China. She was one of our PA students, and then she ended up being one of my friends. And I remember when we were working together, she told me all about that. And I just was like, wait, what? There was like something about that was like a big thing that was going on over there.
Yeah, so in 1994, the law went into effect. I believe it definitely in India. I believe in China it went into effect at the same time. And yeah, you're not allowed to know the gender of your baby, I guess, until you give birth.
That's like the dumbest shit I ever heard.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like I understand that some people that like the male is more
babies
wanted
are such a miracle that we should just want any baby.
But like if you're just a realistic person, like that like you need both for sure, and really you just need women to like get shit done, right? Like, do you ever think about that? Like all of the great men in history, you're just like, yeah, if they didn't have a wife, guess what?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Exactly. So
I don't know. I follow this girl on TikTok that just got pregnant through IVF, and at her like anatomy scan, they just found out that her baby's missing like one of her hands. It just stopped growing. And all these people in the comments were like, you should get an abortion over a missing hand. I'm like, who gives a shit? It's a healthy baby.
Yeah, no.
People
And
are so
listen,
fucking crazy.
this is why, like, maybe it's not a good idea to share your information, even though I just shared mine. Someone's going to be like, in the comments, I hope you start growing chin hair, Nicole. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Listen, we already have mustaches, so we know how to deal with it.
Yeah,
okay?
like, try me. That's not the worst thing. Now, if I start getting zits, that might throw me over the edge. But besides that, or chest hair, I've never had to deal with that either.
I've had back hair and arm hair and mustache hair and all the hair my whole life. So join the club.
Yeah, I'll just go to Dr. Dimitri and be like, "Hey, you gotta do some laser on me." Anyway, yeah, like, if you're going through all the things with IVF and stuff, it's just like you're not gonna jump to the A word very quickly, and that certainly is like a hand is the dumbest shit ever.
Who the fuck would get an abortion over your baby missing a hand? It's like the dumbest shit I've ever heard. If the baby
really
is
is.
healthy, who cares? Like, there's so many technological advancements today that this is not even like a problem anymore.
So this story got me thinking about like gender reveals and stuff. And what about in the hospital, for example, if a family doesn't want to know and somehow like the ultrasound technician like says it by accident or something, like, could they, I mean, they're not gonna really I know they're definitely not gonna arrest anybody, but could they get like
I think it's like
reprimanded at work?
I think it's a dick thing to do, but I don't think you're gonna. You might get like a slap on the wrist, but what are they gonna do? Sometimes people say it by accident.
Yeah, it's just like that's like really important to some people. I don't know why, because it's just like it's gonna be one or the other. Like, what's the I don't know, what's the big like drama about?
All right, last story. A woman is claiming that she was shopping at Goodwill, ended up buying a coat. When she got home, she started going through it and then found a suicide note in the pocket. So I guess the question is, what would you do?
Can you read the note?
Yeah, hold on. I have it on my phone. All right, it says, Valerie, you are my best friend in the whole entire world. This is 100% not your fault. I couldn't be saved. After everything that happened with Aaron and the video, I just couldn't do this anymore. But I don't want that to be the only thing you remember now that I'm gone. I want you to remember our trips to Starbucks, everything we did after homecoming, and our time spent as neighbors. You are basically a sister to me. Please take care of yourself. I also want you to quit what you're doing. You know what I'm talking about, and take care of your body. Go out and have fun. You deserve it. Goodbye, Emily.
That's really sad.
It is really sad. I mean, I guess this person is asking for advice on what to do with it, whether to keep it or return it. Some people are saying call the police. Like, what are you supposed to do with it?
Call the police.
Yeah.
Like that's so dumb. Like, what do you the thing is that you're really, I mean, I guess there could ever be a situation that you could potentially get something at a thrift store that would be part of a crime, and then they would be able to like put the resources to trace back where it came from, because Goodwill, for example, will have like the bins outside, but they also have drop-offs from different areas, and for a forensic investigation that might be worth it. But for this, it's like, how are you like, what police department are you even going to call? I dropped my stuff off in a town 3 towns over. Like, everybody does that. You call the cops, they're going to be like, thanks, what am I going to do with this?
I mean, I guess either if this gets picked up enough, people are going to know 2 people with those names that it happened to, right?
Yeah.
Or the person wrote the note but never went through with it. So
that's what I was thinking too. I was like, there is a possibility that someone wrote it and had it in their coat pocket and just never went through with it.
Honestly, like, a big therapy technique is writing letters knowing that you're never going to send them. I'm not saying that's what happened in this scenario. I'm just saying it is a therapy technique used for people to get their words out without having like a lot of conflict. So
yeah, and it's interesting too, because if your friend really did kill themselves, like, would you want to keep that? I don't know.
No.
Like, it's just really an incredibly sad story. But if you did want to keep it, I guess it would be really sad that you lost something like that.
But at the same time, the person buying the jacket, I don't think they should keep it. I feel like it's like bad energy. Like, what are you going to do with it? Hold on to it and keep looking at it? It's like possibly the end of somebody's life.
I mean, I would keep it.
Well, you're a different breed of person, so.
I just I just think it's just like it's kind of it's just interesting. And of course like that kind of shit drives me nuts cuz I'm like what happened on the videotape? I want to know. What are you talking about?
All right, let's move on to questions of the week. Every Friday at that Mother Knows Death Instagram account, you guys can head over to our story and ask whatever you want. First, with all you've seen, do you find yourself prone to depression or losing faith in humanity?
Um I don't think that that yeah, I guess sometimes. I mean just like last week was a good example. There's just like a lot of things that happen that you're kind of like, even with the girl on the train, you're just kind of like, okay, cool. So now you just have to be like sitting there and like hanging out, and some like crazy person's gonna stab you in the throat. Like the online like vitriol towards one another. Just like yeah, I mean, but I feel like I'm having the same experience as every human.
Yeah,
Like it's
exactly.
not. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I've seen throughout my career is just stuff that's not really preventable. Cancers and kids and things like that, diseases, certain things that are just natural that's all that you really have control over yourself is cigarette smoking, drinking alcohol, smoking weed, all that stuff. If you control all that yourself, then I feel like you have a higher probability of living a healthy, successful life. But other than that, like a lot of it's out of your control.
All right, two, will a casket be open if an autopsy is performed?
Yes, good question. Um, yeah, we do the incisions in such a way that they can be hidden. So let's talk about Charlie Kirk, for example. He definitely had an autopsy and he definitely had a viewing from what we could see from the videos. So we we'll just use him as an example just because he's in the news this week. Um so when they do the internal exam, they will do the Y incision, and especially in men, it's just very easy to hide because most men are buried in a suit when they have a viewing like that. So that incision will be hidden under the clothes. They will also um, sew up and really fix that wound in his neck, which it may be partially visible where the collar hits the neck where the tie is. So there might obviously he was shot while he was alive, so there might be like a large area of hemorrhage in that area, like or bruising because of that wound, whatever caused it. So the funeral directors can work miracles and can like spackle it basically with whatever they're using there, fill the hole up and put makeup on it and make it look like it's not even there. And then taking the brain out as well, because they'll also do that on Charlie Kirk. So the incision goes ear to ear on the crown of the head. So if you could see, if your guys are watching the YouTube, where my headphones are, we would do it like a little bit further, or right about there actually, where the headphones are. But the incision will go behind the ear, and then we are able to peel the face over and then peel the scalp back and take out the brain, put the skull cap back on and sew it up. And so for someone like Charlie Kirk, especially that has a full head of hair, that incision will be completely hidden by his hair. But even if you're bald, they're able to do, they do their magic, the funeral directors, and they're able to glue the incision closed and fix it. And then they also put the head on a pillow so you won't be able to see it. So they're anybody, like every single autopsy I've done, I've always done it with the respect that that person might want a viewing, because sometimes people change their mind. So just always do it for a viewing and then there'll never be a problem.
All right, three, what did you want to eat after delivering your babies? This is from one of our pregnant listeners.
Listen, or was a terrible pregnant person to take advice from, because, and I tell this to Maria all the time, like throughout my career, I've done so many dissections on placentas. Like every PA will say that we've touched thousands of placentas in our career. And so many of them had a history of like meth abuse, heroin abuse, this. Like babies are are really getting like treated like crap and still coming out alive and okay in the wounds sometimes. So for me, I was never like, I can't eat sushi, I can't eat lunch meat. Like I did all of it. Like I didn't smoke crack or like smoke weed or anything like that, but like I was never like, I'm not going to eat this. I'm not going to eat a soft cheese. Like, no, F that. I need to eat soft cheese like every 3 days.
But what were you craving like after you gave birth?
Life, to be alive. I just wanted to be alive. I didn't really care about eating. I'm sorry. I didn't really, I can't think of like Gabe didn't run out and get me takeout. Whatever I ate was what came at the hospital. So it wasn't like, I don't know. I don't really know. I did, when I was pregnant with you, I craved pierogies and ate them all the time though.
And Lillian, Big Macs.
Lillian, yeah, I ate Big Macs. I ate like such shit with Lillian. Like I don't know why, like I just was so hungry all the time. It was terrible, to the point where they made me see a nutritionist. They were like, "We think you need to see a nutritionist because you're gaining so much weight." And I was like, "I eat like 3 donuts every day. That's why I'm gaining weight. Like I don't need anybody to tell me. It's just like I can't stop.
What did you crave with
I
Lubert?
I want all the goodies." Well, with Lubert, I was a little bit better because I was scared that I was going to gain too much weight with her, so I was like a little bit better with her. But I don't think I really craved anything odd.
So
You'd
you
have to
scaled
ask
it back
Gabe, I
to
don't
2 donuts.
Well, I think because when I had you, I was a teenager. So obviously, like, teenagers could eat whatever they want and they don't gain any weight. Like, I probably gained like 20 pounds with you, if that. Like, the normal amount you're supposed to gain when you're pregnant. And then with Lillian, it was like, I guess I kind of had the same thing. Like, and I was older and it was bad. I gained like 80 pounds with her. It was terrible.
All right, guys, we have a couple events coming up. We have a very busy October. So on October the 3rd, we have the Wildlife CSI at Lake Tobias Wildlife Park that is hosted by Cheryl McCullum. I think
Oh,
it's
you
gonna
know
be
what
very
I'm supposed
fun.
to tell everybody? So if you buy, so I just did a post in the gross room about this actually. So this event is in Halifax, PA,
Yes.
which is 2 hours from Baltimore, 2 hours from Philadelphia, an hour from Lancaster, and about a half hour from Harrisburg, right? So if you guys live in any of that like surrounding area, it'll be a nice drive, but it's going to be really cool because there's going to be some kind of animal encounter, which sounds really cool. We're going to the one that's on October 3rd, correct?
Yeah, the Friday.
At 5 o'clock. So there's 4 different ones that you could choose from. But Cheryl said if you guys get a ticket, you could bring a friend for free. So
that's a good deal.
yeah, it is a good deal actually. So we're bringing Mom. So if you guys want to meet Mom, it's the first time she's ever done anything with us, and we're not even doing the event. We're just going as everyone because we want to learn, and we also want to hang out with Cheryl because she's from Atlanta and
she's a fun time.
She's coming within our hood, so we got to go support her. But yeah, she is a good time. And Wildlife CSI just sounds like such a cool thing because you just never really think about it. But the little bit that I've learned from it, it's super interesting about, people are always trying to poach animals and steal animals and illegally raise animals and stuff. And there's just like this whole entire field of forensics just dedicated to animals. It's so cool.
All right, so then the next weekend, I'm very happy to be joining the Keeping Hope Alive family, who is an awesome nonprofit that helps people going through IVF. So that Sunday, October 12th, they're doing their annual golf classic in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. So I'll be volunteering there.
And check out the Mother Knows Death golf cart.
The golf cart. Oh my God, it's going to be so funny. But there's opportunities to volunteer, sponsor, donate. It's a really amazing organization, so everybody should check that out. And then lastly, we have the Dark Side New Jersey event in Edison on October 18th. So basically, we're jam-packed every weekend in October.
Yeah, we are. But I'm looking forward to that, too. So we're going to be doing our podcast live there. So that should be really fun. And I'm looking forward to going shopping there, really.
Yeah.
That's like my decor. So I'll be like, I need to bring all those bags that I get from Wegmans, the extra bags, and like stock them up with some stuff.
Ricky was making some joke that I've never gone in a store that I didn't like, meaning that I buy something anywhere I go. I can always find something somewhere.
It's kind of true. I'm like that too. Like, You're worse though. You want to go in like the worst stores and just be like, I could find something here. This is cute, and you're kind of like,
No, you know that the levels is
it's a
like
paperweight, Maria.
Mom's at the top with being the worst, and then Dee Dee's below her, and then they encourage each other, which is really problematic. And then I'm below them, and then you.
So mom just turned 69 on was
Sunday.
it on Sunday? That was her
Yeah.
actual birthday. Okay, so we hung out with her on Sunday, like our whole family hung out. And so she's 69-year-old female. So I want you guys that are listening that have a parent that's a mother, specifically a mother that's that age, like what is the deal with them and like Temu and shopping? Because it's a thing. And it's not just my mom, it's like every woman that's that age.
It's like the dopamine of buying things, but it's cheap, so you can keep buying things.
But it's all shit.
I know.
The best thing, let me tell you guys, the best thing that my mom bought on Temu. She bought skiing poles. This is a woman that
We've talked about this before.
Have we? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about it again because it's worth it. This is a woman that barely goes outside, should walk from the house to the car. She's not an outdoors person. She's never been skiing. She's never been anywhere recreationally where there's been any kind of snow. She bought them to like as walking sticks. Like, let's just leave it there.
She returned them, so
She probably paid more to ship them back than they cost. That's the thing with those places. It's like not even worth it.
oh yeah.
I just
All
want to
right.
know like what went, like what was like the advertisement that was targeted to her to she was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let me do that.
You mean you're not blown away by the Timu song plays all the time on TV? Well, you don't watch TV.
I don't know.
so
I have no idea what you're talking about.
They have like the worst theme song ever.
That's like a commercial for them or something.
Well, they like were a big sponsor during the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Remember? So they kept playing it over and over and over again.
Oh God.
And those slots are pricey, so you know they're making money off all these boomers buying their
Are they
junk.
geared towards like do you shop there?
No, I don't. I bought, so even on Shein, I only bought one thing ever on Shein, and it was these purses that looked like disco balls I bought for the girls for my
your
wedding.
Yeah.
And I literally had to return them like 4 times because they kept sending me broken ones. And I'm like, I don't understand what
That's
the problem
interesting.
is.
Yeah,
And-
the girls we ordered a couple years ago stuff from Shein, and like so much of it was so slutty, honestly. Like I was like, we're not doing this anymore. Like they've moved on to like the worst store, the second worst store ever in the mall. So like, which is triple the price, but okay, whatever. At least it's more covered, I should say.
Okay, guys. Well, you can head over to Apple or Spotify and leave us your review, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have a story for us, please submit it to stories@motherknowsdeath.com.
See you guys. Thank you for listening to Mother Knows Death. As a reminder, my training is as a pathologist assistant. I have a master's level education and specialize in anatomy and pathology education. I am not a doctor and I have not diagnosed or treated anyone, dead or alive, without the assistance of a licensed medical doctor. This show, my website, and social media accounts are designed to educate and inform people based on my experience working in pathology so they can make healthier decisions regarding their life and well-being. Always remember that science is changing every day, and the opinions expressed in this episode are based on my knowledge of those subjects at the time of publication. If you are having a medical problem, have a medical question, or are having a medical emergency, please contact your physician or visit an urgent care center, emergency room, or hospital. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother Knows Death on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks.